Good evening and salutations, my JH fans. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Let's start off with Carly and Jax. I was about to sit there and say Sunny and Jax. I'm Sunny and Carly. Let's start off with Carly and Jax because Jax asks a very important question. So listen, since Jason's out and he's free and cleared all those charges, so you're gonna give back the keys to Jason, right? Like like that's gonna be a thing. You're gonna hand back over the business to him. And Carly's like, I'm not having this discussion with you. And I'm just sitting there just like, well, that should have been that should have been an easy answer. You should have just said yes right off the bat. And Jax even accuses Carly of, so what do you like the power? Do you enjoy the power of you know? And I'm sitting there looking at this. And for most of the part in this episode, and I still do feel in some sort of way that she does enjoy the power. It's just the first time she's really been in control of the business. So I feel like she does actually enjoy the power to an extent, to a large extent. But then I also feel like towards the end of the episode, she's sitting there looking at Sunny, and it hit me. And granted, this is just a theory. Is that being in control of the business is being one step closer to Sunny. And I feel like that's going to be her motivation to an extent. Because, let's be honest. Granted, I haven't been watching the show that long, but Carly does not seem like she is the power hungry type as far as, dealing with the mob and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, when she came in that meeting, she was bad ass. I still love it to this day. Okay, she definitely seemed like she was very comfortable in that role. And to be honest, I would love her to see her, take over the business and run the business and everything like that. I don't know how well that conversation is going to go over with Jason, but that's another battle for another day. But that's what I also feel like. I feel like it could be partly the power, and then partly being close to Sunny. Now, Jax does ask another question as far as, hey, so Nina's going to be part of, Wiley's life, and I want to make sure Michael and everything like that, gets that. And, right off the bat, Carly's like, listen, yeah, I don't have a say so. That's not my son. But I have an opinion, and I'm going to sit there and use it. And she still feels that um, Nina isn't ready to be in Wiley's life. Now, that's kind of debatable at this point. Well, okay, that's not really so debatable, but she doesn't know that. As a lot of time has passed, she could actually kind of just, not send this thing that she got over her grief, but know how to handle it, where she doesn't make that same mistake, with Wiley and Willow and stuff like that, like she did before. And granted, no, that was not intentional. As much as I do not like that woman, um, it was an idiotic mistake. It really was, but it was a mistake. Stupid as it sounds, it was a mistake. Um. So yeah, and let's get over to Nina. Nina, at this point, at one point she was sitting there telling Phyllis, "Oh, well, I haven't really got over my, being with my grandson or something like that." She was saying, either that or like her ex or something like that. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of go in and out with her to be honest. But let's be honest. The fact of the matter is, Jack said that she had a chance to be in Wiley's life. No, she doesn't really care about that too much. She really doesn't. Because she did, she wouldn't hesitate to sit there and try to go back to Port Charles, try to fix a relationship with Michael, his trust and everything like that, and be part of Wiley's life. Doesn't care about that. Okay? At this point, I don't even know what is her motivation. I really don't. Listen, her motive in the beginning was just stupid as hell. Okay? She blamed Carly because her dingbat of a daughter ran in the woods like a goddamn idiot and fell off, and because Carly did not, and be honest, she didn't actually have to help Your crazy daughter, because she didn't help her, or on time or whatever, she died. Mind you, not that long ago, even Nina saw what kind of a terrible person that Nell was and called her out for it. But now she's being all super protective and everything like that. She's all like, oh, well, I'm going to sit there and get you back by hiding, by, taking Sonny away from you. Never mind the fact that it's, taking him away from his family, Ava's daughter, all that stuff. I guess that's just not really important. But at this point, I don't even understand Nina's motivation. I mean, does she still feel that much anger and that much resentment towards Carly to keep Sonny away from her? Or is it just more about the fact that she's falling for Sonny and she feels guilty? Which, by the way, Nina, Phyllis and Lenny are there trying to play matchmaker. And, this goes without saying, shame on both of them. Okay? Lenny isn't an idiot. He also knows that Sonny had a wedding band, which means that he was married to someone at the time. That's just not important. Whatever. Hell, even Phyllis, I don't think I'm ever going to truly understand this woman. Phyllis, when Nina was like, I don't know, because he has another life, he could have a family and everything like that. And Phyllis was like, he had all that time to try to look for them, and he didn't. So what does that say? I'm like, well, Phyllis, I don't know. That's really up to a psychologist. But for you, shame on you. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I feel like all they really want Sonny for is help around the bar and a little bit of muscle to keep the trouble away. Okay? Because you're not going to sit there and try to tell me that in her mind, she actually feels that, because he doesn't really want his life, he doesn't really care about it, you should go after him. And by the way, shame on you, Phyllis, because what happens one day that so-called wife comes back into his life, or he remembers his life before? Man, this really draws parallels to days. That he suddenly remember his life back to his wife, to Carly and stuff. How is Nina gonna feel? Now you're putting her in this position where you're telling her to open up her heart, be with this guy for like, let's say 5 years, and then he remembers and he leaves her. I guess those philosophical questions that can be answered. Never. Anyway, they both sit there and try to play matchmaker, and then at the end, they leave. And Nina's like, we gotta sit there and talk about that kiss. And so apparently they're gonna sit there and talk about that kiss. Now, I'm still wondering who is the creep that was practically sitting there watching Michael and Willow get it on while Chase was in the hospital practically fighting for his life. Just want to remind everyone of that because, that's still a thing. Where am I going with this? We'll get back to that. So let's talk about Stella. So Stella came back. Now, I gotta sit there and say Stella and Jordan had a rocky as hell start. I remember that I couldn't stand Stella. Stella was so bad that when I used to go on Facebook at the time and I would read the comments, there was somebody that was there writing this comment that just really stuck to me. They were like, this was when she was just being whatever version that she was. They were like, they either need to soften her up or get her off the show. Because every time I watched it, I had such negative feelings towards her. And I felt like the only time that she was actually tolerable was her and the mic scenes. So to sit there and say that they come full circle is an understatement. Hell. Even Jordan was there thinking that, it's going to be some sort of backlash with Stella and stuff like that after she found out what happened. And Stella was just like, how are you doing? The old Stella. Well, we already know what the old Stella would have been acting like. But with that being said, she sees Porsha. Now, Porsha doesn't know that Stella knows her. Listen, let's be honest. I felt like after a while, Porsha had to sit there and kind of understand, like, she's looking at me a little kind of side eye, like, you know, come on. But yeah, when Stella looked at Porsha, Stella already knew. Okay, Stella already knew, and you see in the previews that Stella's gonna be sitting there talking to Porsha, and she is going to let her have it. And I look at it two ways. Okay, that's her aunt. Practically, that's his aunt. Practically his mother. Is gonna sit there and look out for his family, her son, um, nephew, whatever. She's gonna come at her sideways. She's gonna come at her sideways because of the way that whole thing ended. Porsha sitting there, not even letting Curtis know that she was with somebody. She was married. Doing him dirty, letting him get close, letting him, I don't know, maybe even fall in love with her. So to sit there and say she's gonna have some choice words is, well, yes. On the other hand, they're grown adults. Things happen. Mind your goddamn business. We all know that Stella's not gonna do that. No, she's not gonna do that. So I guess we'll just sit there and wait. Now, of course, you got Trina going there. She feels guilty. Went through this whole song and dance. And to be honest, I felt bad for Trina, even though that Trina was a giant pain in my ass when she was coming at Curtis, but she feels bad for that, so I can't sit there, I feel bad for Trina. She tried to do everything she could to wake him up. I think Porsha went in there a couple of times. Jordan went in there. Jordan feels crappy. She feels like crap. But at the end of the day, the only person to blame is Cyrus. That's number one. Number two, listen, Curtis knew exactly what he was getting into. Okay? He knew what he was getting into when he went in there. Okay? He made a choice. Consequences. Listen, knowing the outcome, he probably would have did it again because it's who he is. But that's just the truth of the matter. So at this point, they're all sitting there waiting for him to wake up. Guess who he wakes up to? Guess who wakes him up? Porsha. Because she's Porsha. And, we all know how I feel about Porsha. So let's just get that out the way. But, yeah. He wakes up and he sees her. This whole time, they're all like, oh, he's in critical but stable condition. I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean, I feel like those two sentences just kind of go against each other, but everyone's worried and stuff like that. I'm just like, all right, so when is he gonna wake up? Because he's not gonna just get killed off the show. Now, Chase, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know if he might get killed off the show. I don't think he will, but he does have a new child, so maybe he can take some time off. Maybe he already did. I don't know how these schedule these things. Anyway, let's go to, I feel like there's more to that, but I think that's the gist of it. Let's go to Michael and Willow. Nothing happens. They wake up, they talk to Wiley, they say they love each other, and she leaves. That's pretty much about it. That is the extent of that scene. Now, Jax does come in, and he does talk to Michael. And at first, Michael's sitting there wondering, what is this conversation about? I've been busy, Because Jax is like, oh, I've been trying to get a hold of her. I was like, Jax, he does actually have a life, and a child, and a job, and I don't know if, wife or girlfriend. He has a life, alright? He'll get to you when he gets to you, but he comes over, and, we gotta sit there and talk. We all know what this talk is going to be about, but it seems like it may go a little sideways. Because, Michael's like, I don't understand how, blackmailing is a compromise or something. So I'm like, Jax, what the hell are you actually sitting there trying to do? Even Carly was like, you only thing they're trying to do this whole Wiley deal is sit there and get back Nina. Now, let's be honest, Jax is a lot of things, but I feel like he would have did it regardless. He would have did it regardless. But let's not sit there and try to act like the end game isn't to sit there and be like, hey, I'm not trying to do this so that way you can come back together with me, but if you do, I mean, I'm not going to complain either. So, you know. So, let's talk quickly about Sam, Dante, and Maxie. So, Dante comes in the room and questions Maxie about what happened. Like, take me through step by step by step. Maxie's like, listen, I don't feel like going through that. Like, she wakes up and thinks that she has a baby and realizes that she's holding a pillow. So, you know, maybe not to be the best time, but whatever. So Dante starts asking questions, and Maxie is trying to keep it as simple as possible as far as like telling this lie and making sure that she doesn't deviate from the lie. I mean, let's be honest, her family has been in law enforcement her entire life, okay? She understands as far as questioning and stuff like that and making sure you kind of stick to your story and kind of, whatever. So, I don't know why it makes me sit there and think about this scene. If I remember, I'll sit there and say it later on. But anyway, she's sitting there trying to stick close to the story. Now, Sam, at one point, Dante's like, I feel like you're not telling me everything. And of course, Sam walks in like, so were you sitting there saying that she's lying? Sam? Shut up. Like, no one is talking to you. No, who told you to actually walk in this room? Like, calm yourself for a minute. But she walks in because apparently Sam and Maxie are like besties or whatever. So Maxie's like, listen, I want her here for more support. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Dante starts asking questions, and I guess it must either get to Maxie or she feels that she can't keep the lie straight. So she's like, I just want to stop this interview. And Sam brings him out the room. It's like, yo, listen. At first she's like, you need to have a heart. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? But then Sam was like, listen, questioning a suspect isn't the same thing as questioning your friend. You kind of got to know where to draw the line. Now, what part of me is like, sweetheart, you are not a cop, okay? Please don't sit there and tell him how to do his job. But if we're being honest, Dante even felt like he was going a little bit too hard on Max. He was like, maybe you kind of got a point. But then Sam walks back in and Sam's like, listen, you gotta kind of, make sure tomorrow, like, you gotta sit there and tell him the truth, like, because we gotta sit there and try to, get this baby back. Now I'm sitting there thinking, since they're quote unquote besties, Maxie, why don't you just tell her the truth? Let her in on a plan, I mean, if you can trust anyone with a secret, it's trusting Sam. At least, as far as those two are concerned, because let's be honest, they both have lied so many times, it's just hard to keep track. But, particularly with Maxie. But yo, tell her the truth. This way you can actually have one more person as an ally, By the way, when the hell are they actually going to sit there and find Peter's body so that's way they can, like, hey, listen, since my baby isn't in danger anymore, can I get my baby back? Meanwhile, at the Quartermain's house, after, Brooklyn has a bit of a scare because she wakes up and realizes the baby's not there. She goes downstairs and see Olivia being way too damn comfortable with, their baby. I get it, it's a nice little sweet moment or whatever, but like, let's be honest, if I woke up and my child was not near me and like my dad was just hold my child or whatever, I'd be like, yo. I mean, we cool and everything like that, but a little too cozy. Anyway, after that goes on for a little bit, and they're actually nice and civil to each other as far as Valentine and Olivia. I don't know. I don't know why. I felt like this is like the second time that Olivia was sitting there holding that child. And there was one point when Valentine was like, all right, so can I hold her? And Olivia was like, should I give you the child? I was like, give him his goddamn baby. What is wrong with you? Anyway, that's exactly why I was like, you're getting a little too comfortable. But at some point, Ned walks in, and this is when Brooklyn's like, all right, so let's go over these deals or whatever. As far as Valentine's name being on the certificate, and Ned kicks him out the room. And like, yo, listen, we're not doing this. We're not doing this deal. I want Valentine gone. And I'm like, here's the thing. I get you don't like Valentine, but Valentine, as a father, does have rights. And I feel like, in some sort of way, I feel like he's just kind of messing up the bro code a little bit. I really do. You know that Valentine is a good parent. He may not be good at, well, a lot of other things as far as being good, but you know he is a good parent. And for you to sit there and be like, oh, well, let's just let the lawyers deal with him and stuff like that, it's like, are you kidding me? And granted, we all know that that's not his child, but just the simple fact that he's all like, oh, well, let's just not deal with him. We don't need the shares and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, or I could just be reading it wrong. I don't know. Anyway, Brooklyn ultimately winds up, signing the date, his name on the certificate, and she gets back the shares, so it's all good. And it looks like somewhat their marriage, Ned and Olivia's marriage, is starting to come somewhat back on track. Now, of course, that's until Robert steps in, and then there's just another bit of an issue. It's a fine line. It's a real fine line. Because here's the thing. Ned is bothered by Robert's relationship, his friendship with Olivia. Now you can sit there and say, well, Olivia, she's not Ned's slave. She's allowed to have friends. You don't sit there and get to tell her, a grown-ass woman that was, being independent from you for years, now be married to you and be like, all right, you gotta sit there and have the friends that only I tell you to have. No. But there needs to be a certain level of respect. If you know that this person is making your husband feel uncomfortable, and that's the love of your life, I'm not saying you kick this man to the curb, but you do kind of have to, draw the line as far as respecting your husband and having a certain level of boundaries. I don't know. That's just my little guess on it. Someone who has never been married, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's pretty much about it. Before I go, I got a little video, commentary video that I'm going to be pulling out on the 10th on GH. Is among my favorite storylines. Not going to say which one it is, but I'm going to put it out on the 10th. The reason why I'm putting it out on the 10th is because of the whole B&B thing and the whole copyright thing. Which, by the way, to be honest, I don't know if it's actually, well, I'll say it because it's just music. Bo and the Beautiful that's copywriting, that did a copyright strike on my channel, or was it the actual background music? Because, to be honest, I do change up my music quite often, and none of my other videos have been strucken. And anything that actually there was actually a couple of GH reviews that have been strucken as far as copyright, but they were all like dismissed or whatever. So I'm sitting there thinking it might have been because of music. I don't really know, or it could have been because of bots. Who knows? But I don't know. It made me sit there and think because I keep getting these things on my IG as far as Bold and Beautiful and Y&R, and like there's a huge part of me that's like, man, I really want to do reviews on those. But the reason why I'm probably not going to do reviews on those is because 2 reviews is enough right now. With the time frame that I actually have to work with. Like, if I was doing more YouTube than, like, my other job, then, yes. I would be doing all 4 of them. But I'd rather sit there and pull out quality than just throw out a bunch of reviews and have them all just kind of suck a little bit because I'm just kind of just rushing. And that's another reason why I have not even really thought about as far as doing Bold and the Beautiful anymore. Because there's somebody else that does bold and beautiful reviews, and I have not seen one video getting taken down. So, it could be music. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And I do have that video that's coming out on the 10th of this month. And I plan on doing more of those. So, with that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Catch you in the next video.